everyone. Welcome to the Golden Hour and also the Manifest to Live Life Golden YouTube and podcast show. I'm Golden Duffy, your host, and I'm really excited about today. This is going to be a conversation that you may want to listen to twice. I've done shows about money before. We're talking about the lack of money in your experience and how to create abundance in your experience. I've done shows on this before, and I felt like now is the time to do another one. I've gotten a lot of downloads about this. I've lived a lot of experiences of having no money and having a lot of money. So I have a lot to say on the subject of working with your money blueprint, working on the story of money in your life. If you are always feeling in lack, if there's never enough, if you are in survival mode all the time and it's been going on for years and years and years, I promise you, you can change this. I've lived that way, so I understand. But I came from a place where I knew things were coming to me. I was getting information, and I was given people in my life who gave me examples of living abundance, of what that was like. I mean, I've hung out with lots of millionaires, and because of that, I understood that there was a vibration. I watched them. I watched the way they behaved. I watched the way they felt about life and the way they responded to life. And so that helped me to compile even more information. So today is going to be a good one. Make sure you stay till the end because I'm going to do a release and an intention setting. Just listening to this show alone will change your vibration. It will change your vibration on abundance and money, and it's going to help you to have some new awarenesses. You may not notice it right away, but what you're going to notice is that you feel better. And when you feel better about money, money's an energy, so it's going to respond to how you feel. When you feel better, you're going to start to notice that things are going to start happening, and you're going to go, wow, there's more money in my experience than there used to be. So buckle up, because this is a really important conversation. You know, they say money isn't really that important, but honestly it is, because it really does create a feeling of freedom in our life. It allows us to do things. The real definition of abundance is having what you need to have when you want to do something. So real abundance is not money. Abundance is also an energy, and it's something that you can tune into no matter what your bank account looks like. And if you can start to play the game of money and start feeling like it's more of a game, you'll take all the stress and all the tension off of it. And that's what causes the lack. The tension, the stress, the resistance, that's what causes the lack in your life. That's what doesn't allow you to be free flowing and abundant. So we got to start at the beginning, always the beginning. What did you grow up with? What were your very first evidences of money or finances or belief systems that were put in place when you were younger? How was your family with money? Did they have a lot of money, but they didn't spend it? Did you hear certain things? You know, there's a lot of, many of us are programmed to grow up and believe that money is the root of all evil. I mean, that was one of our main biblical teachings growing up, is that money is the root of all evil. And, you know, my parents, they had money. They definitely had money. And my dad was really good at adjusting his sales. So he was very entrepreneurial. So he was always out working. He was always out hustling. He believed that he had to work hard to make money, but they also spent everything that they made. So because of that, I grew up in that energy of, okay, we have money, but we spend money and we have fun with money and money's fun, but there was no respect for money. There was no like, maybe we should invest, or maybe we should slow down, or maybe, there was none of that. It was just like this creating through chaos, really. If you're in that stage in your life where you're creating through chaos, which means you're not really aware of the money that's going out or the money that's going in. You're just trying to make it work by the end of the month. And then maybe sometimes you don't have your mortgage or you don't have your rent because you had too much fun. That's like creating through chaos. And I've done it. I've definitely done it. There is a belief in the law of attraction community that you need to spend to be abundant. And I will honestly tell you, you cannot spend yourself into abundance. If you're spending money, I've tried. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. if you're spending money and you don't feel good about it, like underneath is this like underlying anxiety, you're going to end up having less or getting yourself into debt, which I'll talk about, because you don't have a connection to the respect of money and spending money from a place that actually feels good. Like, let's say, you decide you're going to do something for yourself. I always believe that if we do something for ourselves that's spiritual, that's good, that's personal development, that the money will come, it will show up. But it's way better if you can manifest that money ahead of time rather than taking out credit cards or doing crazy things like that. Um, or, just putting things on credit cards and then having these huge bills. Credit cards have these enormous interest rates that just like definitely put you under. We lived that way for a long time where we lived above our means and we did a lot of credit card stuff and paid a lot of interest. And then we started to get smart. We started to think about the game. We started to play the game and we started looking at interest-free credit cards and switching balances around and playing that game. And then we started paying things off. So get smarter. If you're going to use credit cards, I don't have a problem with credit cards. I have a problem when we get really down on ourselves and we have a lot of, we believe in a lot of debt. Like we take on a lot of debt and we feel that heaviness of debt. I don't think it's good to do that. I really don't. But if you can play the game, a lot of times credit cards can be abundance because they allow you to do things. Another thing we've been doing recently with credit cards, which is so smart. I don't know why we didn't do this a long time ago. We have a Capital One card and we put everything on it. Now, we're in our 50s and it took us a while to be this fiscally responsible where we could put everything on credit card and pay it at the end of the month. And then we rack up points and we've been able to travel. We've been able to do several different trips without having to pay for plane fare. So that's just another way we're playing the game, another way that we're creating abundance and taking some free trips, which is really awesome. And Capital One has these cool little cafes now throughout the country. We went to one, I think it was in Texas, I want to say. Chicago, Texas. I don't remember where I was. And everything's free. You go in, you get drinks, you could take a shower, you could take a nap. I mean, it's just these really cool cafes. So look into Capital One. This is not a commercial for Capital One, but we've done really well in starting to play the game. But getting back to your story and where you started. So what did you grow up with? Did you grow up with this idea that, money is evil? But then you have this other idea that in order to be successful, you need to have money. In order to be free, you need to have money. I'm going to share something really silly. I used to think that people that drove Mercedes and like really nice cars didn't have any problems, because my biggest problem at that point in my life when I wanted a Mercedes was the money. There wasn't enough money. So the money was such a problem. Like if money is the thing that's the problem in your life, it can take over everything. It can steal your joy so easily. So it was just such a silly thought. And now I drive a Mercedes and that's totally not true. But I will say the level, and I don't drive a Mercedes for I drive it for the luxury because I love the luxury of that feeling of that car and the way that it handles and the whole thing. But get in touch with what were your core beliefs when you were growing up? What was handed to you about money? What were the things that were said? My dad used to say something, money talks, people walk. And interestingly, when my husband and I started to get successful and started to really build our finances, my relationship with my family ended. So, hello, manifesting your belief systems there. It's not true. There are good people in the world that are wealthy. I have friends. I've been around many, many people. Money doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you more of who you are. And I would say what makes you probably not a good person a lot of times is ego. It's lack. It's not, it's needing to look big. It's needing to put other people down. Those are the things that make people bad. It's not necessarily money. So if you have money, you can do things. You have freedom. You can be generous. Some of my other things that I grew up with was my grandfather was wealthy. My grandfather had built himself up from nothing. He worked in a factory and then bought a big chicken farm, or made it into a chicken farm. He had 10,000 chickens. Ended up selling, he had many, many acres in Monroe, Connecticut, ended up selling it and becoming a millionaire, and lived his best life until he was almost 100 years old. So pretty cool. Um, I was uh, I was not part of that inheritance because I'm estranged from my family, but that's okay because I got all the love from my grandpa, and that's all that matters. Um, but what my grandfather would do is he tipped like a rich man. Like he took care of people and he was generous. And I remember him taking me to the mall and going, I want to buy you something. And I love saying that to people. I want to buy you something. Like I just want to just pick something out, anything you want. And so I learned that generosity of spirit from my grandfather. So look at your childhood. Who were your influencers and what was the beliefs that were put on you? Some of the other things that we encounter is not feeling worthy. We're not feeling worthy of abundance. I had a conversation with a woman who built up a hugely successful business, and I won't share what it is because this is kind of personal to her, but a hugely successful business doing something so like out of the box. And she was driving a really nice car. And I remember talking to her about it, and she was kind of apologetic about it. And I was like, you drive that car, you earn that car, you be that car, you feel the worthiness of that car. So you have to get into the worthiness piece as well. Do you feel worthy? Do you feel responsible enough? Do you want that responsibility? I remember watching a show a long time ago, and they were saying that really, really wealthy people don't have homes. They have properties because they buy and sell them all the time because it's part of how they continue their financial gains. And I was like, I don't know if I'm that person. I love to create a home. So maybe I'm not looking to be a billionaire, right? All right. So what were those belief systems? Did you grow up believing that money was evil? Did you grow up hating money? When there's not enough of money, it's easy to hate money. And let me tell you, if you're hating money, if you're mad about money, if you're in resistance to how much money you have or is coming in, you're going to keep it away. That is probably the number one. If you hear nothing else today, hear this. If you are saying, I can't afford it, I heard a really cool thing today. It's funny when I think about doing shows, information comes, and I just freaking love that. But I saw this little video on Instagram today, and I don't know who it was. Somebody from way back when, and he said, "Don't ever say spend money. Don't ever say it. Think about the word spent, like when you're spent." Right? When you're spending money, you're letting it go, right? You're spending it. Say, I'm circulating money. And I just love that. I really do, because if money is an energy and it needs that flow of going in and out, and we start to connect with the circulation of it, we will stop restricting it, and we will stop restricting the flow of it. So stop saying spend money. Pay attention to how you feel when you do circulate money. When you're paying your bills, how are you feeling? Are you upset? Are you mad? I had a thing happen today. And okay, so your responses are everything, right? Law of attraction. I'm going to get into the law of attraction, I promise, and how this all works in universal law. But I had a realization today. I had to pay. You have to pay car registration in California instead of taxes. We pay car registration every year. And my husband's old truck that my daughter drives, it was getting up for registration on the 31st. And I thought of it last week and I didn't pay it. Like I had that inspiration and I didn't pay it. So I was like, today I'm like, I'm a couple days late. Hopefully it'll be okay. No big deal. No big deal. So I go on to pay it, and there's a $30 fee for being late. Normally this would make me so mad. And normally this would probably make me mad to the point where I would get on the phone and try to get them to waive the fee. But my response was just like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, I'm not going to let that steal my joy. I'm not going to let that create time suck for me, which would a phone call is what would have done. I was late. I'm paying a fee. No big deal. $30. Okay. So it doesn't sound like I'm respecting money in that, but it is truly the response of feeling like it's okay when things like that happen, and it doesn't cause me to go into beating myself up. That's also working on that self-critical shitty committee that I've worked pretty hard on. So law of attraction, right? If we're talking about law of attraction and we're taking money into consideration, think about the wave. Okay. So think about the wave that you're always sending out to your finances. Is it full of fear? Is it full of doubt? Is it full of victimhood? Everybody's taken my money, right? My daughter had a situation recently where she had a bunch of doctor visits and she had some other things going on. And that's her feeling, is that everybody's taking it from me, so I don't have enough. So you have to shift that. You have to shift that, because if you don't shift that, then that's what's going to happen. Like if you think, oh, every time I get a little bit ahead, something goes wrong. That's why it's happening. You're sending the signal to something going wrong. If you have a bunch of fear over not having enough to retire on, let me just tell you, a lot of people die before they even retire. So you're worrying about things and you're sending signals to things like what kind of signal are you sending to your retirement account when you're in fear that you're not going to have enough? So we really have to get smart about the signal we're sending, because it's everything. It's truly everything it determines what's going to come to us. That is law of attraction in action. Like attracts like, right? So what am I being like? Feeling broke? Am I saying I'm broke? Am I saying I can't afford things? Those are the things that are going to create this um, consistent vibration with not having enough. It's a lackful mentality. It's a lackful vibration. And let me just say, there is enough money in this universe for all of us to be millionaires. There's enough for all of us. Not everybody wants that, by the way. Not everybody wants that amount of money. Some people are happy with what they have. Some people think that being a millionaire is too much responsibility, too crazy. Don't want. Some people think millionaires are jerks, right? Right. So there's plenty in the universe. There is no lack in this universe, no lack whatsoever. So if you really want to create abundance, you have to start believing in that, and you have to start looking for evidence of abundance all around you. You know, the times that we were in the most dire straits, I would say the first time that we went through, you know, all through our relationship, our marriage, our family, when we first started out, we were very paycheck to paycheck, very, didn't really understand any of this stuff, and just constantly in the struggle, having a hard time paying the bills. Especially, I got a job actually when the girls were little to help us make ends meet, because we were tired of not having enough money. So I started serving. And I remember, because I always had cash on me, and we always had money for food. We always had money for our bills at that point. But then when we decided that I would stay home with the girls, that's when things got tighter, because we had that one income and my husband worked a lot. And I was home with the girls a lot by myself. That was just something that we went through. It was part of our progress. And then when my husband finally, after so many years of paycheck to paycheck, and I think I shared with you guys, he had a boss who the checks wouldn't always clear. So we'd be there on a Friday hoping to go grocery shopping, and then our check wouldn't clear. And that was a huge problem. And then we still didn't have any money, and we lived on pasta for the weekend. You know, this is the thing. If you're in these dire straits, you're learning a lot. This is a lot about you learning about who you want to be, how you want to live, and how you're going to create it. Because if you can get by on less, you're going to create more. But it's the resistance of it. We just kind of like sat back and we were happy and we had pasta and it didn't matter and we had love. And then the desire happens. That's where the desire happens, to not live this way anymore, to make decisions to not live this way anymore. So then my husband started his own business and things got really crazy. And we started making a lot of money, and we bought a big house and new cars and all sorts of stuff. And it was super fun, but we were really anxious and really stressed. And we had no understanding of how to respect money. We were working with people on investments and things, and thank goodness we did, because we ended up having to cash all that in to save our hides later. Because once the economy went down, we were subject to the economy, because we weren't aware. We weren't aware of what we were doing. So being aware is really important. Being really aware, being really intentional about what you're doing is going to help you to create abundance. So when we moved to California, we went through that financial issue and then we built ourselves back up. And as we were building ourselves back up, that fear of money, and watching, there was fear of money where we were walking around every day, not being able to breathe. That fear put us into action. So we ended up joining a network marketing company. And that's where I learned a lot from a lot of different millionaires. That's where I learned about law of attraction. That's where we saved our lives, really. That was the light that saved our lives. And then my husband went back into building and we started to build ourselves back up again. And then when we came to California and we had this, big amount of money that we thought $20,000 that went so fast. And then we found ourselves in that situation again where we didn't have anything. It felt different. We decided to be different with it. We decided to play it like a game. We decided that we were worthy. We decided that we came too far to fail. So we just kept going and we kept working and we kept doing everything we could to make sure that we could take care of ourselves. So if you're just kind of limping by and you're just kind of getting by and just doing you don't really love your job and you don't really love anything about your life, that's a call. That's a call to do something different. Because if you're not in excitement, if you're not in passion, if you're not in love with life, that's where abundance is. So money can't find you when you're miserable. It can't find, of course, there are rich people who are miserable. Absolutely. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the law of attraction and shifting your intentions to become a more abundant person. That's what you have control over. You are not powerless against this. In fact, you have more power than you could even imagine in changing your experience of money. I promise you. So good. All right. So we got to work on the belief systems. What do you want to believe? If what you are believing is creating constriction, it's creating fear, you're in survival mode, you're in a level of your spirituality where you may still be in victimhood. So victimhood is like, I can't do anything about this. I'm powerless. You're not doing anything different. That's victimhood. So if you want to come into abundance, it's like, what can I do? What can I do that would bring me excitement, that would bring me fun, that would make me feel like I'm excited about life? That's how you create abundance. That's how you do it. And it's, determination and decision. It's deciding we will never be there again. That's that decision. We are not going to go through that again because we've learned, we've processed, we respect, we understand. So if money is an energy and it's based on what you're sending to it, then in every moment of every day, you've got to pay attention to what you are doing with that, right? Do you feel fear? Does a bill come and you get upset? Does an unexpected car repair happen and you freak out? Resistance is what keeps money from you. So the resistance over what's happening and the distrust of things working out for you. So faith is right up there with abundance. Faith, believing in things unseen, knowing that you are taken care of. Many of us, depending on what age you are, grew up with grandparents that went through the Depression. And it's kind of amazing that my grandfather came through the Depression, and I'm sure that he had a healthy respect for money, but that he was able to be generous after that, because the Depression was all about lack. And because of that, genetically, right, generationally, we grew up with that energy in our field. So if we want to clean that up, we have to look at it. Where am I attracting lack in my life? Where am I believing in lack? Where am I not putting forth my faith? Where am I distrusting? Where am I being a victim? Ask yourself all those questions, because they're going to lead you to answers that are really important. And they're going to lead you to be aware of what's the energy I'm sending to my money. What's the energy that I'm sending to myself? Do I believe I'm worthy? Do I believe I'm more than this? Um, do I believe in surrounding myself with beauty and goodness and wonderful things? Or, am I not even taking care of my health or myself or my house? Those are all things that are really, really, you have to put them in perspective, because if you're if you're in a pigsty, I don't know why this is coming up, but if you're like living in a pigsty and you're not feeling good about yourself and you're overeating and you're not healthy and you just don't have the ability, the capacity to create joy. So start with cleaning up. Start with cleaning up your health. Start with cleaning up your home. I can't, and I know this is, a lot of it is personality, because some people don't care and they don't see it. But, as far as like the ancient Chinese feng shui, there is something to be said for energy moving through your house and for looking at something that is in order and how that makes you feel internally. Now, you may not have that. I don't know, because I have it very deeply, and a beauty in my home is really important, and organization is really important to me. So if you don't have that, I would challenge you to try it. Just to try it, to clean out a closet, to clean out a drawer, to clean out a corner. Start with a corner. Don't start big. Clean out your closet. I clean out my closet. Oh my goodness, refreshing. And I sold some clothes. I made some money. See, that's abundance. Clothes that I wasn't wearing. There's a lot of different ways you can create abundance, but you have to start with that internal story first, and then what is surrounding you. Do you have constant reminders that you're not abundant? Do you have a lot of late bills? The other thing to keep in mind is, if you are having some challenges right now, and you've got bills coming in and there's late fees and there's all sorts of, like things are piling up on you, is to deal with it. To deal with it. Call your credit card companies, see what you can do, because when you're not dealing, you've got this pile of pain and fear that just continues to get bigger. That's not abundance. Taking control of your situation is abundance. Using your voice is power. That's abundance. Doing whatever you can do to make things work is abundance. It's not running and hiding from what's going on or spending more, like that's the cycle is, you're spending to try to feel better, and it's just creating a worst case scenario in your life that's not leading you to feel better. So get a handle on those spending habits, and ask yourself, like, it was funny. I was talking to my other daughter yesterday, and she started her own business like a year ago. She started doing this furniture making business. It's called the Rusty Wood Company. I'm so proud of her. She just opened a store. But she said the craziest thing was, she sat down, and her and her husband got married about 5 years ago, but I think they keep their bills still separate. And she's like, I sat down and I wrote down all my bills, and I was amazed that I didn't need as much as I thought I did, because she was, spending a lot of money on different things, clothes and all sorts of things. Right. So when she actually got down to it, like what she actually needed for the month, it wasn't as much as she thought it was. So that's why it's a good idea to write it down. Like, write down what you're spending and what's coming in, and look at the different ways that you can enhance that by the way you feel. I'm not telling anybody to go out and get another job. I'm saying look at that and see if you can get excited about it. One of the most exciting things that we did when we were moving from Connecticut to California was we set an intention. We're going to make this much money. We're going to have this much money to go with. And the money went crazy. Like, it just started coming into our experience. We started selling things. People started giving us more money than we were asking for our stuff. My husband was getting these big jobs. There was a lot of awesome stuff because we set that intention, because we got excited, and the universe met us there in that level of abundance, of creating, of excitement, of freedom, right? Freedom. It's freedom, because you're like, oh, we're going to be free to go live our dreams and do what we want. It's a fantastic feeling. So that's why I'm saying, if you can just acknowledge what's going on and then attract what it is that you need to make it bigger and better. What do you want it to be? Have you ever clarified that? Do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank? Do you want hundreds of thousands of dollars in a safe in your house? What do you want? If you're not clear about it, it's this wishy-washy energy that never actually becomes that wave that conducts the physical manifestation. So just get clear. What do I want? How much do I want to make? How much freedom do I want to have? What do I want to do with it? When you first get into law of attraction, it's really easy to go into, oh, I want the fancy cars and I want the fancy house and I want to be rich and I want to be rich and I want freedom. And, there's not a strong conduction in that because there's not a big enough why. Why do you want that? Well, I want freedom because I want to be with my family and I want to enjoy my time. And, it's getting to those deeper rooted things because most of us, if we had tons and tons of money, we would get a little lost in it. So it's about connecting with who you want to be instead of what kind of money you want to make. So who do you want to be? Do you want to be abundant? Do you want to be a person who's joyful? Do you want to be a person who feels freedom? Do you want to be a person who can do good things for other people? Do you want to be the type of person who can take care of your family in a bigger and better and stronger way? Okay, this is getting you out of focusing on what you don't have. Who do you want to be? Instead of looking at what you don't have, who do I want to be? If you're looking at your neighbors and you just want to keep up with the Joneses, I don't know if that's a good enough reason. I really don't. It could be. I'm sure people get wealthy with that attitude, but for me in this conversation, it's more about initializing a life of joy and freedom and abundance by many different avenues. It could be free trips. It could be people giving you things. It could be restaurant gift certificates when you all of a sudden this happened. This was so funny. I went to this big networking event and there was 2,500 people there. And I just agreed to go with this lady and I didn't know what I was doing, but a few of the people that were there knew that I was a manifestation expert. So I bought these raffle tickets and I ended up winning the top prize, which was $2,500 in furniture. I got a brand new living room set, which I totally needed. And all these restaurant gift cards. And my husband and I love to go out on date night. And this was at the time when we were really kind of financially in it, financially trying to get through this 2009, 2010 time. So having those restaurant gift cards was it was date night. So, it's setting the intention for date night and then some crazy miracle happens like that. It happens this way. Because you're setting the intention for it. You got good energy around it. You're sending the signal to it. And you're believing that money comes from more than just one avenue. You're in the belief system that money is in abundance all around us. Why not us? Why shouldn't we be part of the incredible universal flow of abundance? Absolutely. Every single one of you can. Absolutely. Without a doubt. If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. We were down on our luck. I'm talking bankruptcy, car foreclosures, electricity shut off. I mean, pretty much everything you could go through financially that was terrible, we went through. And the second time we went through it, we didn't go to that level of bankruptcy, I think because our foundation had changed. That's the other thing is when you have money, you know what the vibe is to create it again. You can do it and then you can do it better, bigger, stronger, because you start to recognize the fears that created a lot of that havoc, and you start to recognize the chaos. And this is what I mean when I say creating by chaos. We used to do this all the time. It's like the 11th hour stuff when you're like, oh my gosh, we don't have the rent money. I don't know what we're going to do. We just got an eviction letter. That's creating through chaos. And then it's waiting until the last weekend of the month to try to make your mortgage or your rent. Creating through chaos is having no connection to what's coming in or going out. And then all of a sudden being like, Oh no. So we decided a while ago we weren't going to create through chaos anymore. And a lot of the ways that we've done that is just let's pre-pave it. Let's get ahead of it. Let's decide what we want and let's set the intention out there. And then it's having the faith. It's not being in fear. It's having the faith that things are going to work out because we've seen it work out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So if you can look back over your financial condition, you probably can see that. Unless you're homeless and you're in a situation of homelessness, it's time to get serious. It's time to get serious about what you want and creating that energy around that signal around that. Most people probably would have looked at our situation after moving here and said, I would have gone back. They would have gone back because all signs were pointing to this isn't working. And we were just extremely decisive and determined. We had made a definite decision that we would make this work. And I love to remind people that you can't fail because you're never going to quit. As long as you don't quit, you can't fail. So as long as you just keep going and keep working and keep at it, things are going to improve. Things are going to get better as long as you change your signal towards it. If you're in this fight or flight, if you are in this resentment, if you are feeling like a victim and you're feeling powerless, you are going to get more evidence of that. So here are the steps to creating from an abundance mentality. So first we've got to look at the lack and we got to let go of it. So no more saying things like, I can't afford it. No more saying spending. It's not spending, it's circulating. No more spending everything you make. I'm telling you, I have this conversation with some of my children often, and they believe in abundance, they believe in the universe, and God bless this child. She's probably going to be a bazillionaire, but it doesn't feel good. And she had this realization lately because she made like $2,500. She saw it in her bank account and it was gone. Like she spent it. And she takes care of herself. She buys fine jewelry. She loves to buy things. And she was bummed out about it. And I said, like as much as it's fun to like, spend it, it's so fun when it's in it, when you have it. It really is. And I feel like I've changed a little bit because I used to believe in, that energy flow and not constricting and everything. But I will say having money, like not spending it all, is abundance. And allowing it to start to accumulate actually gives you more of a feeling of abundance than constantly spending it ever did for me personally. For her, we'll see. She's young. All right. So get rid of the lack mentality. Look at those belief systems from when you grew up and then make a definite decision about the way you want to feel about it now and what signal you're going to start sending. And then get clear on what it looks like. What does that look like? Can you visualize it? Can you see yourself in your beach house or whatever it is? Can you see yourself traveling? Can you see the abundance coming to you and feel it? It's important to feel it. The feeling of abundance comes from letting go. It really does. It comes from letting go of the worries. It comes from letting go of the to-do list. It comes from letting go of the tension. The tension and resistance is what blocks abundance. So it's letting go. It's responding in a peaceful manner. It's looking at a $30 fee and going, that's all right. Darn it. It's okay. Right? It's looking at a car repair and going, well, thank goodness I have a car to repair. Right? And it's being in that grateful state, in that responsive state that allows you to be in your power and not sink back into victimhood and powerlessness, right? I heard a really interesting thing, and I hope that I can explain this right. So I'm reading this book, Anything is Possible, by Ben Zander. He is the conductor for the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, which I think he still is. And him and his wife wrote this book. And I thought it was cool because he doesn't necessarily know, maybe he does know about law of attraction, but he doesn't really write about it. But he writes interestingly enough that makes me think in the same capacity, but different. So he talks about your board. If you could imagine that you were like a board game, like your life is a board game, and you could start, this is about taking responsibility and no longer being a victim. So if you could look at that board and everything that's happening on that board and ask the question, why is that on my board? So we had an example of a guy whose wife was cheating on him, and he was so mad and he was in so much resistance and he was so upset with her. And when they talked about the board and they said, why is this on your board? He realized so many things about himself. One was that his mom got super successful and cheated on his dad. And one of the other things that he would do with his wife is he wouldn't let her pursue things that she was interested in. So she wanted to become a lawyer, I think. And he wouldn't let her pursue it because that meaning was there, right? That meaning that he was giving to it. So he looked at the board of his life and he was like, well, that makes sense. And my wife is not my mother. And then he started to make these connections and understood why he created this and why it was on his board. So if you could think of your life as a board, I love this. I really do love this analogy. And it's kind of like in law of attraction, they talk about a light board and the signals that you're sending light up on your board. And basically anything that's attracted to it is already lit up within you on your board. So it's kind of cool to think about it that way. So if you could look at your board and you could say, why on my board have I been in this survival struggle? Where does it connect to me? Where have I sent the signal to my board that I'm okay to live like this, right? Where have I tolerated this? Where have I created this? So I think it's cool to think about life in that way. And you can do it with anything, right? Like a car accident. Why was that car accident on my board? It was a major inconvenience. Like, let's say you didn't get hurt. It was a major inconvenience. Now I've got to get the car fixed. There's car insurance and this and that. Whenever stuff like that has happened to us, it's literally brought more money into our experience. So I always find that really interesting. But maybe you've been driving crazy, or maybe you've been really resentful of other drivers, or maybe you've just been stressed while you're driving, or maybe, so you have to look at that board and ask yourself, why is this on my board? Why is this on my board? Because that will help you to tune into yourself and how you are creating instead of putting blame on other people, which you can't do anything about. Blaming, victimhood, it's all giving your power away. So in order to become abundant, you have to feel powerful. You have to start exercising your power to create abundance on the board. So that's the first step. If you're not meditating, I always highly recommend that because meditating will put you in higher states of consciousness, which will put you in a higher vibration, which is abundance. It will also tune you into being more aware of wonderful things in your life, but it will also help you to let go of the worry, let go of the fear. And it will open you up to your intuition, right? That third eye, that pineal gland will open to intuition, which will give you ideas on how to create the abundance that you're after. So really super cool. Abundance is an energy. Money is an energy. It all needs to stay in flow. And if you've got it flowing in one direction, you got to ask yourself, why is that on my board? Why is all the money that's coming flowing out? We had these realizations long ago and made definite decisions around them. We are not living like this anymore. And then it was incrementally raising our vibration, raising our feelings of worthiness, raising our feelings of power and faith in the universe. And over time, it compounded and gave me a real level of understanding of what is abundance? What even is abundance to you? What makes you feel abundant? Times when I feel really abundant are probably when we take these little weekend trips, and I can feel very abundant in that. Just relaxing and maybe going to see one of our favorite bands, or, just enjoying each other's company, going to the beach. Going to the beach always makes me feel abundant. Going to Laguna Beach makes me feel abundant because that is, it's just so good there. It's so sitting in the sun, enjoying, watching families play, Being with my family is abundance. When we're all together and everybody's happy, that is true abundance to me. Looking at the beautiful nature that we live in. Oh my goodness, today, the birds, it's like a bird palooza out there, I'm telling you. And there's like these swifts and they dive bomb and then they're just like, and they're everywhere all around me. And then I look down and there's little tiny bunny rabbits. I saw little baby bunnies and little baby squirrels today. And then quails running and road runners running. And so it's like, to me, that's abundance. That's I am witnessing abundance in the universe that is all around me that I have a connection to because I am witnessing it. So what is abundant to you? How can you start witnessing abundance? All right, I'm going to hop into this meditation. Whew, man. Okay, I think you got it. I think you got it. I think I gave you the signal enough, but I want to do a release so that we can release some of this generational stuff and bring in some new energy. So hang with me here. All right. So I'm going to ask you today to take a deep breath. Now, this is an exercise that Joe Dispenza does, but it really does help clear the pineal gland, and it really does help clear your mind if you're having issues with too many thoughts. So when you breathe in, I want you to pull up from the bottom of the body and squeeze your butt, like squeeze everything you have all the way up as you breathe in. And I want you to push that energy right into your third eye. So you're going to breathe up and you're going to push up. And you're going to hold it and just hold it, hold it, hold it, and then breathe out. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it 3 times. You're going to go all the way up and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze your belly, squeeze your butt, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze all the way up and push into your forehead. You're going to push into that third eye, your intuition, and you're going to hold, 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 and breathe out. And just feel all that tension leave your body. And then one more time, you're going to breathe in. And this allows the spinal fluid to actually activate and come up and flow through your body. So squeeze, 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 hold, hold, hold. And allows your third eye to open. Hold, hold, and let go. All right, now we have a clear channel. So I want you to imagine that at the bottom of your spine, there is an energy field. This is called your root chakra. And in that energy field is all the information, all the energy, and everything that anyone has ever given you, belief system wise, about your ability to create abundance and prosperity. Okay, so it's all there. It's in a ball. I want you to imagine it's in a ball. So that ball is a color. Just pick a color. The root chakra is red, but this, because it's kind of like could be potentially be negative energy, it might be a little dark red or a little black. All right, so in that ball of energy, I want you to just think for a moment. And I want you to put all of these thoughts inside that ball of energy. So any thought that you grew up with about money, not having enough, lack, I want you to put it in there. So every memory you have, from your parents struggling to your grandparents struggling to yourself struggling, I want you to put it all in there. So all of your first experiences with money, on the negative side, let's just go with the negative side. So anything that didn't feed your belief in having an abundance of money, I just want you to put it in there. Okay, so we got to wrap it up in a ball. All right. Now, when we breathe, I want you to imagine that this ball is being sucked up like a vacuum cleaner and it's just dissipating. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that it's going. It's leaving your body. It's leaving your experience. It's leaving your awareness. It's leaving your cells. It's leaving every piece of you alone so that we can create a new ball of prosperity and abundance that allows it to come to you. Okay. All right. So take a deep, deep, deep breath. And I want you to release all fears around money, fears around abundance. I want you to release all energies of lack, generational energies of lack, generational survival mode, struggle mode, problems in your finances. So negative bank balances, bounce checks, anything negative in your experience, according to money, involved with money or abundance, I want it to leave your body now. So leaving all of that energy, all of those conditions, all of those experiences. So not having enough to pay your bills, not having enough to pay your rent, not having enough to pay the doctors, whatever that energy is, we ask that it fully leaves your experience now. Just keep breathing. I can feel it. It's going. And it's coming all the way up from your root and out. And as you breathe it out, you're just breathing it into the sky, allowing it to go back into the ethers where you no longer need to create from it. So all of those energies are gone. They no longer exist. They're no longer in your DNA or your cellular structure. So we want to breathe out all energies of not being able to afford, all energies of spending, all energies of disrespect of money, all energies of distrust, not being faithful, all those fears, all those worries, all those concerns, we ask that they leave now. All those blockages, woo, releasing all the blockages to your financial experience, all the blockages that have kept money from coming to you, all those limitations, all that lack, all that negative energy, all those negative beliefs. We ask that they leave now. Whoo, so good. All right, so now we're going to come up a little bit further. And I just want to come into the power center, which is your solar plexus, which is right in your belly. And in that ball, I want you to put all the negative experiences of feeling powerless, unworthy, your low self-esteem, your low self-confidence, your belief that you don't deserve good things. There's a belief in there about greed. So I want you to put greed in there. Yeah. Cause we've always been programmed to believe that if we want things or have nice things that we're greedy. So yeah, we want to put that in there. Jealousy, resentment, resistance, all of that. We're just going to ball up inside of your solar plexus, right in your belly. We're going to put in there all your traumas, your wounds around money, traumas and wounds around your powerlessness, around yourself, and just the belief that things come hard, that money comes hard, and the belief that you aren't worth it. So I want you to take a deep, deep breath, and we're going to release all energies of unworthiness, fearfulness, powerlessness, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, any energy that blocks your power, any energy that blocks your worthiness, any energies that blocks your deservability. And we're asking for that to leave from your cellular structure, from your DNA, from your entire experience, all those beliefs, all those doubts, all those self-critical energies that have caused you to believe that your lot in life is what it is because you deserve it. So just breathe out that feeling of not having enough, not being enough, not doing enough. Yeah, just breathe it all out. Whoo! Good job. Really good job. Really good job. So now we have a clear channel. And now we can set some new intentions. We've got a few more minutes here. And I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to feel this beautiful, warm, golden light coming in the top of your head. And we're going to bring this light all the way around your brain. So we're going to bring it through your neural pathways, and we're going to make a nice clear path. And as we clear out your neural pathways, just imagine coming out of your head is just all those low belief systems. All those energies that have created lack within your own mind, worries, fears, all of that. All the hows of how it's going to happen, all the distrust. Yeah, we just clear it out. And then bring that light all the way down your shoulders. And I want you to feel a release in your shoulders, because this is where you often carry the weight of the world. This is where the letting go comes in. So let the light help you to let go. So let go of worry, let go of fear, let go of carrying the weight. Let go of the distrust, like that energy of it has to be for me, it has to be from me. and that I don't have help. Yeah. So release unsupportiveness. Yeah. Oh, all my single moms out there, release all of that unsupport. Does not serve you any longer. Release all the energies of being unsupported if you are a man taking care of a family, or a woman taking care of a family, or just an individual taking care of yourself. Release that burden. Yeah, get rid of it. Life is meant to be light and free. So feel that light come all the way across your neck. Oh, it's already making me feel better. All the way across the top of your back. Bring that light into your heart and expand it in love and abundance and freedom and trust. Bringing that light into your belly, fully connecting you to power, to your power center, to your co-creative partnership with this universe, and knowing and believing and trusting that you are not alone. Bringing that light all the way to the bottom of your spine, activating your prosperity, abundance, generosity, freedom, trust, faith, and then knowing that all things are working out for you. And just feel that light come into each one of your cells, activating health, vitality, truth, and wisdom. And just let that accumulate and acclimate and become who you are. And just take a couple of deep breaths, coming back into the room. So, so good. Whew, that's it for our show for today. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget, my books are on Amazon and Audible. We now have Mindful Manifestation Secrets on Audible and on Amazon. You can go to my website, livelifegolden.com, www.livelifegolden.com, and look at the transformation tab. There's an application there. I am taking 1 or possibly 2 clients right now. So that's really exciting. And I'll put some announcements on Facebook about that. All right. I love y'all. Peace. Woo. So good.